Welcome to the Angel Rewatch, a spoiler-free retrospective podcast on Angel. I'm William.
And I'm Derek, and this is a podcast for That Old Gang of Mine, originally airing October 8th, 2001, written by Tim Minear. Angel's trying to apologize to Merle for torturing him last week. As things often do with Angel, the situation turns violent. Merle tries to attack Angel, and the spell on Caritas prevents demon violence. When Merle goes home, he's attacked by unseen assailants and is killed. Because it's the only story they're capable of telling with Gunn, Gunn killed his sister. He has nightmares about it, and then shows up late the next morning to Merle's murder scene. He's not too concerned, though, because, demon. Angel takes offense, and Wesley tells Gunn it's best if he goes home. Instead, Gunn visits his old crew and meets up with Rondell, now sporting a new eye scar, and Rondell's new right-hand man, Gio. Gio is at an all-eat buffet that's serving nothing but scenery and nostril flares. He questions Gunn's loyalty to the quote-unquote cause. Back at the Hyperion, Angel urges Cordelia to spend time with Fred and get her out of the hotel. Cordelia reluctantly agrees, and they search for leads on who killed Merle. Wesley and Angel go to his bookie and find the place is similarly trashed, and the bookie is similarly dead. Whatever has done this, Angel thinks it's big and angry. Well, it certainly is angry, as we see Gio leading the charge to brutally kill a demon in the sewers. The next morning, Gunn meets with Wesley at the bookie's place and immediately recognizes the weaponry. He thinks Gio has gone rogue, but Rondell tells him that they all jumped the demon together. Gunn tells him that's wrong, but Rondell doesn't want to talk about it because Gio has found another demon nest. Gunn goes back to the Hyperion where Angel's there, and he doesn't tell him about Gio. He asks where Wesley is, and Angel tells him he went to Caritas with Cordelia and Fred. Fred is singing on stage when Gunn enters. Lauren immediately senses something was wrong with Gunn and tells him that he should inform Wesley. Before any of that can happen, Gio and Rondell break into Caritas and start killing every demon in sight. Gunn confronts them and tells them to stop. A lot of Gio monologuing and vamping follows. Gunn's loyalty to demons rather than humans is questioned, so Gio decides the best thing to do is to call Angel and have Gunn choose. Cordelia is sent to find Angel, and together they hatch a plan. Cordelia will get the Furies who set the charm on Caritas to fall so Angel can attack. Cordelia thinks it's stupid, because it is, but because it's Angel's plan, it's going to work. Gunn gets into a standoff with Gio after the gang corners a baby-eating demon. Gio implies that Gunn had sexual feelings for Alana, and Gunn shoots the demon and kills him. I know more happens there, but did you really want me to go through it all? Anyway, Angel shows up and Gunn is forced to choose. Gunn says he won't kill Angel, but that doesn't mean he trusts him, or that he is his friend. Angel can never be Gunn's friend because of what he is as a vampire. Gio is frustrated, so he presents an alternative option. If Gunn won't kill Angel, then someone has to do it, or no one leaves the bar alive. Fred stands up. She apologizes, but she says she has to live. She takes Gio's crossbow and points it towards Angel. When Gio feels safe, she turns quickly and aims it at his throat. Angel tries to get Fred to point the crossbow back at him, but during the standoff, the charm falls. Angel investigations and the remaining demons fight back, and Gio gets his head bitten off. I guess everything resolves itself after that because Gunn is seen talking to Rondell outside. Gunn tells Wesley that the gang won't venture outside of their territory again. Wesley agrees that's a good idea. However, he tells Gunn if he ever hesitates to tell him something again and endanger the team, he will fire him without hesitation. Angel's waiting for Gunn. Gunn tells him he didn't mean anything he said back there, he was just stalling. Angel tells him he knows he was telling the truth and he doesn't blame him, that's fine. It told Angel that Gunn can be trusted to end Angel if she turns. Gunn tells him it's not that he doesn't like Angel, it's just how he feels. Maybe in time they can be friends. Angel tells him he has nothing but time, and walks away like the mysterious badass that he is. And that's our end of our episode.
So I'm really conflicted on this episode.
You can be conflicted.
I think moments of this feel very much like rehashing some of the previous gun-centric episodes that we've had, or
really?
feel much more like a season 1 episode. And then I think moments in this episode are actually pretty deep or maybe I'm just so confused at what they're actually trying to say that I think they're deeper than they actually are. But
well, I think they're deeper than what they actually are. If I think, I know what you're talking about, but I think there are moments where this is very good, and then there's moments where it's all
forced.
Right. It's the fact that we have to go back to not only the first season, but the first episode we ever saw Gunn to try to make him feel relevant, I feel is a problem.
Yeah, I mean, it shows a lack of development with his character.
I mean, it wouldn't be a problem if I felt any of Gunn's actions were informed by the fact that Alana died. Like, I feel, if you just look at Cordelia, the fact that she was popular in high school and all that, and then you look at her in this episode where she thinks it's a good idea for Fred to be in a white spotlight with everybody's attention on her, and that's the last thing that Fred wants. That goes back to Cordelia's desire to be popular. And I think there are parts of Gunn, like what they touch on. I enjoy this episode for how it explores how Gunn feels about demons, because I think that fits with everything we've seen of him. I don't think bringing up Alana again has anything to do other than try to create some kind of emotional stake for him.
Right. I mean, bringing up Alana, I thought I thought it was still worth it, because for me it gave a little more context to why he can't fully trust Angel or fully get on board with Angel, because vampires kill the sister.
Sure. I just take that as mostly that he fought vampires for how long and still doesn't really get it.
Right. The other thing is, this isn't like a story they've been ramping up to, or it didn't feel necessarily consistent enough with this character. We've never had Gunn voice dissension this hard.
Well, I would disagree that all his reactions to all the weird stuff that they do suggest to me that he is not on board. I mean, he gets on board, but he's the most questioning of anyone in Angel Investigations. And they've used that just to create some funny reactions, but I think it fits with everything that he's done, that he's just kind of confused and doesn't really... He still has trouble accepting that there are good demons, or that they should be helping demons, like when they had Darla in the hotel and he said, don't we just kill them anymore? Do we ever just kill them anymore?
Or Harmony.
Oh, was Harmony?
Well, we had Harmony, right? Isn't that the don't we just kill them anymore? Because he was like smiling.
I don't know. The point is, there's so many that I think it just fits with who he is. That he still has trouble understanding, and I think that's a good role to fill.
Sure. How do you feel? Well, I think I liked the episode in graying again what's morally good, what's morally bad. The whole premise of this episode of them hunting down the thing that's hunting the demons is, I found really actually interesting. Like there's a really nice conversation between Gunn and Wesley in the middle of this episode, where like they have that first one where they're investigating Merle's death, but in the second apartment, when it's just Gunn and Wesley, Gunn basically asks, what are we doing here? Like, if we're chasing the thing down, what happens when we find it? Are we supposed to kill it, thank it? And then Wesley pauses and says, I don't know. There's a nice debate about what was right and wrong here.
Sure. Until we get to the end, and Gio can just die because he's annoying.
Right. The thing is, I feel like the metaphor that they're going for, or the theme that they're going for, like it becomes a little muddled along the way.
Okay.
And I think
I don't see the metaphor. I don't think they're trying for one because I don't see one. But you have a theory, so go ahead.
Well, okay, so the whole episode, we have Gunn in his former life, and how his gang reacts to demons in general, like the verbiage they use and everything else. There is, for me, there has to be a conversation about either like racism or bigotry or profiling, like how they are so black and white on the situation of them just hunting down these beings, and the fact that we have the Angel investigations be trying, like the opening scene where they take, like, Angel takes offense to Gunn's calling them demon. He was just a demon, and then Angel being like, well, what does that mean? Like that to me, that feels a little forced, but like that seems like the direction that they're trying to go for. Or it's like really interesting at the end with Caritas when we were having like Geo talk down to Gunn and like, oh, you're one of the, like those demon lovers. Like there's a definite point they're trying to get across. I'm just not sure exactly where they're trying to hit it, because then the problem is it becomes mixed, because the demons that they're killing, not all of them are good and not all of them are bad, so there's no like direct parallel to our world of what exactly them being racist to demons is supposed to be, or you know what I mean? So
well, yeah, that's
I'm
one
really
thing I don't feel
conflicted.
like there's a metaphor, because if you take out, well, actually, okay, so the baby eating demon is the issue.
Right.
Now, I could read that the way that he responds is he's trying to goad them into action, and maybe he's not actually a baby. He is not a baby-eating demon, personally. But then Gunn kills him, and I doubt that they would have Gunn kill an innocent demon.
Yeah, that scene is really interesting. And on first watch, I remembered it a certain way, which was Geo just says, "Oh, this is a baby demon or baby killing demon." Like, whatever. Like, that doesn't make sense. You're just lying. You're trying to get him to kill this thing. And the guy said, and the demon says, "Yeah, you go ahead and do it. Whatever, cowards." But on Rewatch, I watch with subtitles on, and the demon actually says a lot of stuff like, I live in the playground. I'll eat your children. Have me a nice tasty meal," or whatever. Like, is the demon lying, or is this really a baby killing demon?
Well, I think it has to be, unless, I don't know. He's definitely trying to goad them into aggressive action. I'm not sure why, unless he wants to die.
Yeah.
There's no reason for him to be that explicit unless he wants to anger them. So he's clearly trying to anger them. If he's lying or he's embellishing or what. But the other thing is that I could read it as he's outright lying, but Gunn kills him. And that's not treated like it's something Gunn does that's morally questionable.
Right. If they had established that this, like, the demon's morality is still in question, so it still makes Gunn's actions in question.
No one talks. I mean, the gun goes off and you think he's shot Geo, but really he shot the demon, and then everything's fine, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I like that moment a lot, because it's actually pretty dark for Gunn, even though it's just...
Well, we all
there's
also
something
talking about that. He had incestuous feelings for Alana, which I have no idea where that came from.
That's another thing. Like, them bringing that up. Obviously, they're trying to bring up how guilty he feels about his killing his sister and everything, which they always bring up whenever it's a gun-centric episode. But again, is that tying into whatever this kind of metaphor they're trying to come across?
Please tell me how that ties into that. I don't think there's a metaphor. I honestly don't believe that they were trying for a metaphor here, because I think it would have been a lot more clear-cut than it actually is.
And I agree with you in some points, but I think that to me it still felt like they were still trying to say something, but at the same time they're so in the gray and trying to balance both sides that I'm actually really interested in that. But I don't see the point of scenes like Gio ranting about his incestual feelings for his sister if they aren't trying to say something.
Well, I agree with that. He goes far too in depth, and it lasts far too long to just be, I don't know, filler or him trying to antagonize Gunn or whatever.
I mean, it becomes this like spiraling effect, where like I really like that scene where the demon is kind of whispering him to himself. Gio's berating Gunn, and then Gunn, like how Gunn just keeps going on edge, and then it like crescendos into the moment that he pulls the trigger and kills the demon, yelling "Shut up." I think there is something not powerful, but something to that scene that it does stand out for me in the episode. But I don't know, like a lot of things in this episode, I'm not exactly sure what I'm supposed to be feeling, and that's nice and terrible at the same time, because it kind of just leaves it up in the air. Like, are they trying to represent Gunn in a bad light or not? Like they kind of tiptoe around it the entire time, and ultimately it becomes really interesting when you relate it to Angel, and we do get that ending scene with the two of them. But yeah, I'm still unsure what they're going for. I do think they were trying to say something.
Well, I don't feel like we need to talk about it anymore, because we don't know what they're trying to say, but there's no reason for discussion other than you think that they're trying to say something, but you still haven't figured it out.
Fair enough.
So we can move on from that, because for me, they've done it before where they've able to balance both sides and say something, and I don't think they say something. And here are the thing that I think they're trying to say is how Gunn is confused about his own feelings when it comes to demons. I think that's what they're trying to say. I don't know if it's trying to say anything bigger. If you want to read something into it, that's fine. I don't think that's their intention, though.
That's fair.
All right. So before we move on to feedback, where I think we'll talk about everything else, I do want to talk about the Fred story, which I think they're continuing to use her well. And they're continuing to use her well to show other things about the other members of Angel Investigations, and I think they did that. They didn't do it so dedicated when they brought Gunn on, but they did it for a little bit, because we saw Wesley's condescending side come out and Cordelia's kind of compassionate side come out when it came to Gunn, when they first met him. But they're certainly focusing on Fred more than they did Gunn.
Right. Even in the short bits that we've had with her. Mm-hmm. And I really like how they have Angel go to Cordelia to kind of force interaction between the two of them, where these two characters that don't necessarily fit interact again. It's kind of like Cordelia, the popular girl, has to interact with Willow,
she has to,
the nerd.
Well,
or whatever, you know what I mean?
I was thinking, she's all that. And she's going to take her glasses off, and she's going to be a beautiful prom queen.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how much they try and make Amy Acker look homely with like pigtails and everything.
No, I don't think they're playing down how attractive she is. I think they're playing up the.
She's super neurotic and crazy.
I think she's an introvert and Cordelia's an extrovert, and it's less about they're different levels of attractiveness and more about the fact that they just see the world differently.
Right.
Just the way that, like I said, Cordelia thinks the best thing for... Fred doesn't want to be noticed, and Cordelia thinks that means she's, like, horrified, so she tries to... Because for Cordelia, not being noticed would be terrible. So she tries to tell her that everyone will be looking at her and it'll be wonderful.
Right. Well, at the same time, getting her to sing at Caritas would be, like, interesting to see Lorne interact with Fred and, like, try and give her some sort of direction.
They have no other set to go out to.
Right. Well, you could go to that one club in
the Lonely Hearts Club.
The Lonely Hearts Club, yeah.
It wasn't called Lonely Hearts. It was a bar that was really just like, I don't know, a hotel lobby that they told us was a bar. Anyway, no, but I really like the karaoke scene because of everyone's reactions to Fred singing. Because you have Cordelia who's like amused by it all. And she's not so much making fun of Fred, but she kind of is. Like, she's kind of laughing at her and kind of laughing with her. And then there's Wesley, who is just straight up horrified. But then Gunn comes in and just immediately accepts her.
Right. He finds her, like, the way he's very, like, brightened by her just singing is really funny. I really like Cordelia's... she picked the song, I swear to God.
Yeah, because it's pretty accurate for where Fred is. Pretty honest. And then, so, Fred finally goes out, and then she's in a hostage situation.
Right, and the initial shock of that, like, the demon blood exploding on her was actually pretty effective.
Well, the fact that we never see guns, no matter how much of violence there is on the show, we almost never see guns, and then the crew comes in and just annihilates everyone, and there's lots of shots of people, and, well, not people, well, people, demons getting shot in the chest and dying.
Right.
So, then we gotta get to... So you think that Fred would be... I mean, if Fred decided she wasn't ever going out ever again, that would be reasonable. But instead we probably see how she survived for 5 years in Pylea, when she takes that crossbow. Right,
and it's a really nice moment. I am a little confused with Angel's point the crossbow back at me. Point the crossbow back at me.
Why are you confused by that?
Because of everything she's already said. Mm-hmm. Like, and the fact that you've already turned the crossbow onto Geo. What is it going to do to just turn the crossbow back to Angel? They're still going to do the same thing, which is like tackle you.
Well, what is Angel's just supposed to let her shoot Geo in the neck?
Geo deserved to die.
Well, yeah, I do want to get in that before you end the feedback, because that is my big problem with the episode. But, so, I don't have a problem with it. Angel is just trying to stall.
Right.
Because he's waiting for the Furies to drop the spell. And that's a whole part of Angel's self-sacrificing thing, that he would rather Fred shoot him. I mean, I think he's pretty... When he thinks that Fred is getting up just to shoot him, I think he resigns himself to that fate pretty quickly.
Yeah, he does.
Because he's Angel and he hates himself.
Right. And there is enough believable doubt for the audience, because we don't really know her, that...
Well, and that's the fact that she's been captured for 5 years and finally just got free.
Right.
But we haven't... I really love her rant, and then that's a stroke. I wasn't trying to sound snooty. Which is probably the most perfect Fred line I could think of.
Right. I do like how they write her intelligently, and how and sporadic, like how how it just seems like she just says these like long sentences that just kind of pop into her mind, and she's very scientific, which is still contrasting with Wesley, who sounds intelligent but talks about only demons. I don't know. I think they have a really good grasp at the character so far and how to write her, which is really interesting to me.
Okay. So I do want to talk about the fact that Geo they kill him off.
Right.
Because, all right, the thing is, Geo, not a bad actor. A subtle actor, no. He is
No.
very loud and very boisterous, and it works for what they're going with. I think the story probably would have worked better if it was Rondell who became super gung-ho about killing demons after George died, which we finally learned his name, and I don't think we knew it before he died.
I'm sure they mentioned it.
Well,
yeah.
Sure, they did. But now I know it's George. And I'll probably forget that next week. But when George died, if Rondell went on this whole, like, demon-killing spree, I think that works. The problem is that we meet Geo in this episode, and he can't be anything but a force to antagonize Gunn. And I think he works well as that, but I don't think that I'm completely tied into his story. And I don't think I wouldn't be completely tied in if it was Rondell, because we don't really know Rondell, but I think it would feel more natural than just bring this guy on.
Yeah.
For the sole purpose of he's going to poke at Gunn and poke at Gunn and poke at Gunn.
Part of that, I feel like, part of it works and part of it doesn't. I think the need for him there is just to have a justifiably bad guy.
Well, that is my
on this
problem
situation.
with him. Because then in Caritas we get his backstory, which some girl died in Miami, and it was either directly his fault or he blames himself, and he is doing this to try to escape the guilt, which is he's pretty screwed up and tragic. But so they humanize him, and then immediately afterward, they have his head get bitten off, which seems completely in opposition with what Angel Investigation's mission is. Because how many times has Angel told us that we're not in the business of giving up on people, except when they're gun-toting maniacs. Then we give up on them, and they're annoying.
Well, I think they just...
Because it's sloppy, because that's the only way they get out of that situation. Which doesn't even make any sense either. Because it's not like Gio... I mean, Gio is the most passionate, but it's not like Rondell and everyone else are being dragged along. They're pretty willing to go with it. But then Gio gets his head chopped off, and then, well, they're just going to go back to their territory, and we don't have to worry about them anymore. That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah, the resolution of this episode's weird. I think the Gio is the most fanatical in the group, obviously, but having the Lorne reading moment, I think there was a direct causal link between, like, what he says. Like, Gio was responsible for a girl's death.
Mm-hmm.
Whether he did it or not is up in the air. But this guy is not a good guy, which you don't need the Lorne scene to get that. But
no,
it puts more of a...
Because otherwise he's just a crazy idiot. I mean, not idiot. He's crazy in one note. At least this we get a backstory. So you're saying that he's deranged.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't get that. Because he seems genuinely guilty that he killed this girl. Or this girl is dead because of his actions. Well,
I mean, he has a human emotion to it. I mean,
So that's what I mean. I thought that was supposed to be this girl died, and he just went full tilt into what I saw it as a mirror to Gunn. If Gunn had gone from Alana dying to wanting to kill every vampire, if Gunn didn't have Angel around.
Yeah, huh.
That was my read on it, but then for some reason he can just be killed off.
Well, he was threatening to kill humans in there. Like,
I am aware of that. But Faith also threatened to kill humans and tortured Wesley, but Angel refused to give up on her.
That's true. I mean, it's convenient. I'm not gonna sweep that under the rug.
It's just the quickest way that they feel that they can get out of the situation, but it doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't think it's a great way to get out of the situation anyway, because it's not. Geo is the most fanatical, but I don't see how chopping the head off the snake just means that Rondell is just going to go back to his area and not venture out anymore, and the problem is just solved neatly and tied in a bow.
Well, I don't think it's supposed to be neatly or tied in the bow, which is the whole conversation between Gunn and Angel.
Well, that has nothing to do with Rondell. It has everything to do with who Gunn is.
But Rondell's is more hurt by the fact that Gunn is choosing Angel over him.
Yeah. But it's not like Rondell has not seen the quote-unquote light that going out and killing random demons is not a good thing. I don't know we don't know what that conversation is, but I doubt that it's all and even if it is, it's all wrapped up in one conversation that he is completely over it. And he's not going to just find a demon and kill it because it's a demon.
Right. And the fact that they're focused on killing demons is also really interesting. It seemed like they were strictly killing vampires, but now they've branched out into full-on just kill whatever has, looks other to them.
I don't know, though. They were definitely focused on vampires, but I don't know that they weren't killing demons before, because I feel like Gunn doesn't know all the types of demons, but he definitely knew that demons existed. It's not like the world of evil ended and began with vampires for him.
Right, but they were considered a vamp killing gang. His truck's decked out to kill vampires.
Mm-hmm.
There was a definite focus there, and it became about defending their people as opposed to now they're taking the fights to
exactly. And now that Gio's dead, that's not an issue anymore. Apparently.
Right, or how long had Gio been there? I don't remember exactly how long they specified in the episode.
Well,
he was visiting from Florida, and I had to come see the famous Gunn vampire killer or whatever.
No, he moved from Florida. But between George's death and now, Gio had shown up. I don't think it matters how long he had been there.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
Okay, I don't have anything more to say about it.
Yeah, I don't think. I think we've kind of touched on a little bit of everything.
So first up in feedback, we have Joseph, who said, "This is actually a little better than I expected. Gunn, Cordy, Fred, Wesley, Lauren, and Angel all got some solid moments. I like scary, whispery Wesley a lot. Wes is definitely the most observant of the group, and you can watch him figure things out. Still, between being trained by the Watchers Council and whatever lessons he learned from his father, I'm not sure he's actually a great leader. He tends to settle on scary and intense when under pressure, which probably works well with the Watchers, but isn't so great for this group. I'm not a huge Fred fan, but she was a lot better this time. I did like Sorry I Wasn't Trying to Sound Snooty. As long as the actor's having fun, I love his scenery-chewing villain. I was hoping Gio would get his own spin-off right up until the end. The bad. I never once believed that any of Team Angel was in danger during the Caritas hostage situation. Theoretically, at least Lauren should have been in a lot of danger, but it dragged on so long that any tension was gone, particularly since the gang let Lauren and all those two random demons live. I'm not sure Gunn tried hard enough. When he was at the gang's hideout, instead of saying he lost the mission, he should have just said there are good demons and vampires, and I can prove it. It also never made sense to me. It made sense to keep the gang so separate from Angel investigations. Even if Gunn won some distance from his memories of Alana, Wesley and Angel know better. If there's another group in LA fighting demons, the least they could have done is have Wesley and Angel give them some training, and it probably makes sense to team up for bigger threats. So thank you, Joseph.
So I'm not sure about the last point about them teaming up for bigger threats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would be nice to have, I guess, more bodies to throw at a situation.
I think that's on Gunn.
Right.
I don't think it's Wesley or Angel's place to go there. I guess they could force Gunn to do it, but I don't know.
And I do get the sense that the people in Gunn's gang will obviously will not work for Angel. Like there is a bigger divide.
They now definitely won't.
Right.
Whether they would before George had died, who knows? Or Gio showed up.
Yeah.
I think that would always be difficult to do. They could have definitely done this story earlier, and if they wanted to do something with Gunn, but apparently they did not.
Right, but I mean, they have been playing with the idea of being morally gray with demons. Like the first instance of it was in like season 2 premiere,
mm-hmm.
when Angel accidentally kills that other demon. That's actually good. And then developed it with
good demon.
Right. So it would have been. I guess they introduced Gunn at the end of season 1,
mm-hmm.
so I guess there was plenty of time to introduce this kind of story, but I don't. It doesn't feel unnatural for them to use it now.
No, I'm just saying that they could have done it earlier.
Yeah.
The fact that they have it just points out how little they've done with Gunn as a character. Now, the fact that Gunn doesn't say anything, I actually quite liked, because I didn't think that was stalling for dramatic effect. I don't think that Gunn knew how he felt about it.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to dance. He's in question the entire episode, and ultimately at the end, he just knows that what Rondell and Gio are doing aren't right.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's all he needs to know, is that what they're doing isn't right. You've lost the mission. I think it's not that clear. Like, he just does keep repeating that, but I don't think he necessarily needs to be specific enough of there are good demons and vampires. Although, yeah, it's interesting because we haven't seen Gunn and Lorne interact by themselves. And maybe now we have a greater sense of why. But I am interested to see how much they continue the story with Gunn, or if there are consequences to this story. Because at the end of it, I get a sense that there aren't that many consequences.
No, I don't have a lot of hope that they're going to use Gunn based on what they've done so far.
Right.
Like, I think there's lots of interesting things set up for future stories, but I honestly don't remember, and this show hasn't given me a lot of confidence that they're interested in telling Gunn stories.
And it's a shame, and I'm kind of sad that, I haven't been the biggest fan of these Gunn-centric episodes, but mainly I just feel like they're not handling them with the same kind of, not seriousness, but just not the same quality as they would with any of the other characters.
For me, they don't feel interested in Gunn as a character in the way they feel about. Obviously, they don't seem to like Gunn as a character as much as they like Fred. Or they don't know how to use Gunn as much as they know how to use Fred. Because Fred has been given something to do in every episode of this season. Every episode since she was introduced. They decide when they want to use Gunn when they decide they want to use Gunn. Right.
I think part of that is the problem. Like, the fact that when Gunn came onto the story, or, came onto the show, he was this guy that Angel could call for help. Mm-hmm. He lost his new guy status, right? So we didn't get to see the interesting interactions between him and the rest of the gang right away. We just got very, very little quick moments with the rest of the gang.
Well, that's just the problem, that they all became friends off screen.
Yeah.
Because the definite story in season 2 with Gunn was that he's the new guy, and how does he interact with Wesley and Cordelia? And then they weren't interested in telling that story at all. And then we only got anything with people who weren't Angel when in the last part of season 2 when they went Cordelia-centric.
Right.
So how do you feel about Scary Wesley? And is Wesley a good leader?
We haven't seen him screw up, but I don't necessarily think he's a good leader. I like the dissension in the ranks.
Well, I actually really like... I mean, I don't think it's more... I don't think he has a... The problem that I don't think he's a good leader is I just don't think he has a handle. I don't think when he threatens Gunn, I think that's a pretty effective strategy. That he waits... Right. And then he says, if you ever do this again, I won't hesitate to get rid of you. I don't think that's a terrible... He doesn't do that a lot. He does that when it's needed. I guess what they're going with for Wesley is that he's hands-off and he does anything. The thing is, the reason I don't think he's a good leader is I don't think he has a single iota of control over what Angel does.
Or honestly, the rest of the group.
Well, yeah, it's true. Because Gunn is, not around. It leaves Gunn to go home and then just doesn't care about what happens after that.
And honestly, they could do whatever they wanted. They have that early scene in Merle's crib where, Gunn starts kind of berating the two of them, and then he's like, well, who's the leader here now? Is it Angel? Because you didn't... no one told me. There's definite dissension and tension there, which is nice. Wesley doesn't really handle that situation very well. He let that continue on and then kind of goes, hey, let's cut that out now.
Yeah, well, that's, okay, I know it's Corey, but Angel is allowed to do whatever he wants, pretty much.
Right.
And then Wesley just tries to say, it's Cordy, all right, fine. My hands are tied. I can do nothing for it from this point. There's nothing I can do because you're a vampire and you could kill me at any point.
I've seen Wes be effective without having to be the scary guy.
He does designate things well. The problem is if any one of them feels passionate about something and passionately disagrees with each other or him, he has no recourse to mend that situation together.
He does try and stand up in Caritas and take charge in that moment.
Yes, when he says that, because Angel's very quiet. And he talks about how Angel has a soul. And I do think he does a good job there. What it boils down to me is the whole it's Cordy arguments where Angel just goes flying off the handle. And Wesley has no recourse to bring him back into the line. Doesn't even try.
I don't know. It's interesting. I'm not exactly... I think earlier in the season... Well, earlier. There's only been a few episodes, so we haven't seen a whole lot as Wesley as the leader, but what we have seen is their weird of Angel stepping on his toes in moments. There still is that kind of balancing issue.
For me, I feel like Angel is pretty much the de facto leader, and Wesley just gets the office.
Hey, he gets the point directions that
you go here and you go there, and I'll stay back here. No, I do think that Angel is definitely... And I don't think this is a bad thing in the episode. I think it's built in that Wesley is still not in that leadership role, that he's grown, but he's still not all the way there the way anybody else on the show is.
Right. But is Wesley, when he's going to be, if he ever becomes this great leader, would he be just Scary Wesley the whole time. Like,
well, the other question is Wesley supposed to be a leader at all?
Right, or is Scary Wesley even the right kind of leader? This whispery, if you do this again, I'll fire you.
Well, I think the journey is less about who he is as a leader and if... Because he obviously wants to be in charge. That's like his whole thing from whatever happened with his father. And he didn't take charge and he got kicked out of the Watchers Council, whatever.
He finds worth in it, sure.
Yeah. But is he actually supposed to be in that role? Just because he thinks he's supposed to be does not necessarily mean that he is good in that role.
Right.
Because I do think so far... I mean, Angel does whatever he wants, but I think Angel had a better way of managing people. And maybe that's just because they're all... I think what Wesley does with the scary thing is he understands how being afraid of Angel kind of made people fall in line.
Right. I think... I've liked moments of Wes in charge when he's been subtle, like how he got Angel to interact with Cordelia, or when he was talking to Angel about whenever Cordelia and Angel's relationship was strained.
At shipping Angel and Cordelia.
Yeah.
That's what he's really excellent at.
He should be in charge.
He's the captain of that ship. But I don't think he's the captain of Angel Investigations. Because Angel takes it into his hands to designate Cordelia to go talk to Fred. Which I think that's even as different as they are, I think that's good for both of them.
Right.
Because it gets Fred to be a little bit less attached from Angel. And it gives Cordelia somebody to talk to.
I don't know. I'm going to be interested to see how much they continue to play up the tension between, like, whether Wes should be in charge or not. Because
it has been an underlying... Eventually, I think we're going to have to get an episode where his leadership is called into question because it's an underlying...
Right. Like, nothing he's done has been, like, bad.
No, but it keeps coming up that who's actually in charge here.
Right. So, I mean, like, they need to have a moment where they actually butt heads, or he needs to make not a fatal decision, but something that'll blow up in his face.
Yes.
If like, either of those need to happen, I think. And maybe we'll actually get to see that at some point.
No, well, I'm certain we will, because Gunn seems to be the only character that they're not interested in. I think they're pretty interested in everybody else except Gunn for whatever reason.
I mean, man, it is a shame. Like, and I don't know what else they can really tell. I'm going to be upset if they continue to, like, make Gunn one note, like, oh, we don't have anything interesting to say about him. Okay, I know. We'll flash back to him killing his sister in a really weird effect. I don't know what the hell that blurring...
Well, I think it's supposed to be a dream.
Okay.
That you don't exactly remember faces when you wake up from a dream.
Okay.
I don't know. Whatever. The point is that they're not interested in gun stories.
No.
Which is not.
And if they're not interested, why should I be?
Well, I'm on board for whatever gun story they want to tell because I like him. But they clearly don't share my affection.
Yeah, I mean, they just don't. They're trying, just not very well.
I don't think they're trying at all. Anyway, but let's continue with feedback.
Okay. So next up we have Alicia, who says, that old gang of mine. Favorite scenes. Angel's apology to Merle. Merle and I were not enemies. I'm the one that found the body. Oh, sure, I went dark and killed Merle. If I had killed Merle, would I have brought donuts? An ugly demon slurping out of a big gulp drink. Gun protecting Lorne. Transmuting fairies Gesundheit. Wesley and Fred holding hands while Gio's singing. Wesley comforting Fred and Caritas. Angel. Got it, and ew. That's a stroke. I wasn't trying to sound snooty. Bad. Gun. Gio. So thank you, Alicia.
So this is where we can talk about the Furies, because you wanted to talk about the Furies.
Well, I just thought that their inclusion was very strange. It felt really weird. Like, I guess they're trying to go for some levity out of the hostage situation, but honestly, there wasn't enough tension for me to be caught that off guard when we finally get to see these floating ladies.
Well, I really like the Furies just because of the Angel.
I like it because of Cordelia.
Mm-hmm. Cordelia with her new hairstyle of the week. In an up,
I have
working that.
I have. We should have been keeping count, but I have been noticing it.
Well, okay. If we were to have an actual count, there were 2 in the premiere. Where it's kind of, I don't know if she like straightened it or what, or they actually had cut it, but it seems longer and the end scene that kind of like curls out or whatever. I don't know, whatever. Then there was definitely, I think she stayed with the one in the second episode. In the second episode, we were fine with that. Now it's an indefinite updo. So that's 3 episodes, 4 different hairstyles.
We'll just have to devote an entire section.
I guess we're going to have a Cordelia hair watch.
I did really like the bit with Angel say, like, Angel being the top suspect, and it's like, it's alphabetical.
Well, I like that as an Angel not in charge moment. Going back to the Wesley in charge.
I also like it as just the reaction shot of when he says, "Sure, I went dark and killed Merle," and then Wes and Cordelia kind of look at each other. I thought it was pretty funny.
Which is definitely plausible that happened.
Right.
Which we didn't talk about Angel's apology to Merle. What I really like about that, because it's not explicitly stated, but I got the sense that Cordelia actually wrote the apology.
You're right, because she's like, "Hey, let's not
blame the written." When Merle is upset because he's reading off a paper, I almost positive that Cordelia wrote it and just had Angel read it. And then Angel being a petty 2-year-old again.
Right. Well, also the whole speech sounds like it could be.
It's supposed to be
directed towards Darla.
It's supposed to be. It's a misdirection towards Darla. And she's still not here yet.
Yeah.
Even though she's speeding around Mexico, apparently it's very hard to get to L.A.
Well, if she went super south for that shaman, it might take her at least. So if it takes her an episode to go to that mountain, then it'll take an episode for her to get back to that bar.
Oh, don't try to actually chart it out. It's going to be whenever they decide to bring her back.
Well, I would see. It seems like that would be the big overarching story. So, middle of the season,
we have to get through some more case of the week. We have to get. I guess Wesley is the next up. Or Fred.
Is it Wesley or is it Fred? Yeah, it can be either.
I mean, they've been doing it. I'm sure there'll be some Fred moments in the next episode. But I would think that Wesley is the next one because we started off with a Cordelia, then we went to a gun, now we're... And the first episode was an Angel episode.
Right. It can be either or. I don't know if they'll necessarily go to Wesley right away.
Or
because it seems
neither of them.
I mean, that's true, too. But I feel like if they were going to do a Wesley-centric episode, it will have to stem on his leadership.
Yeah,
and that seems like that'll have more consequence than this.
I think my guess is a Wesley-centric episode is probably going to be on his leadership, and they think they're going to need to build up to that more.
Right.
It could be until the middle of the season before we get an episode where, hey, Wesley, you kind of suck at this. Or he makes an error or whatever. I'm not, and that's just not us speculating that we don't, I honestly don't remember.
I'm not exactly sure how they handled that whole situation at all either, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I do before. I really do. I mean, I like the demon that's slurping the big gulp. That's actually what I remember most about this episode, that attack, because it's a kind of a funny joke, and then it gets very horrifying really quickly.
Right. They have some really interesting moments, and that moment does stand out because it is another like direct representation of like good demons and bad demons, but this demon seems so pathetic and so helpless, and it's actually really really scary. Like him going, "Who's there, please?" in this like really tiny voice. Mm-hmm. It's really sad.
Yeah, it's terrible. And the other thing is I guess Angel could stumble across the body when he's in his sewer walks, but that demon's not going to get any direct justice.
No. And how can they? Like, they kind of have had a don't kill humans policy, even though in season 1 we've killed super-powered humans. I think you're fair game if you can make limbs detach or whatever.
Hands in new places. That guy. Yeah, well, he's chopped up real nice. And Gio's dead.
We don't feel bad for Gio dying.
Because who cares? I mean, we only don't give up on people when they're pretty girls.
This is true. Well, okay. Fred had killed someone, but she wasn't going around killing people. She did torture Wesley.
You mean Faith? You said Fred.
Whatever.
Which would be interesting if Fred tortured Wesley.
Sorry, I meant Faith. No, I'm not going to try and play devil's advocate. It's clunky and it feels cheap. Like we just need to tie it up, and it's the quickest, easiest way for that to happen. But I do think Gio was more of a psychopath than Faith.
No, I do not think he was. I think he is. I do not think that he's more of a psychopath than Faith was.
Well, the problem is we don't know how directly involved
because we don't know anything about Gio.
That. Yeah,
that's true. I mean,
but he was about to say,
if there
like,
was a
if you're a demon
he would have broken down Angel's arms, and there wouldn't be a problem.
I'd pay good money to see Gio break down an Angel's arms.
It'd probably be Chuck's arms, which actually I really like that Gio calls Gunn by his first name.
Well, yeah, he didn't even call him Charles. He calls him Chuck.
I think he might call him Charles a couple times, but he definitely calls him Chuck, which I actually like that he called him Chuck, because that just to poke him even more.
I'm just waiting for Gunn and Rondell to break down in each other's arms.
No, whatever. I think you
chose Angel over me.
I think you're going to keep hoping, because I doubt we're going to see Rondell again. All right. So, moving back a little bit, next up we had Joseph, who had a few more thoughts on Lindsay. So, up first is I think the character could work for people if they remember a couple of moments and kind of forget everything else. That's why Kate is my second favorite character in the whole series, after all. 2, I think the writers were going for a villain like Lex Luthor in Smallville, that Lindsay's threatened because he's so driven and committed, but that losing his hand shook him up, leading to a death, which is how kind of I read his attraction to Darla. But they never quite sold any of that for me. 3, for comparison, I think a villain that pulled off a character with some similarities to Lindsay was,
Goldacott.
You know how? Okay. From Deep Space Nine. He only got a few episodes per season. He facilitated from scene cheering evil to sympathetic evil, and he had a few moments that were just downright crazy, but for all that, he had a magnetic, fully realized foil for Cisco and Kira. Yeah. And the fans were firmly excited every time he showed up, or almost every time. I have no idea. As you can tell, I have no point of reference for Deep Space Nine.
Or Star Trek.
Or, yeah, anything sci-fi that's not Star Wars, I have no point of reference for.
Heathen.
Okay. So you can comment on that.
Yeah. They did not make a complex villain enough to something like Goldacott. And Goldacott had... There was just something more to his performance. Like, he was that kind of actor that did chew the scenery up a bit. Mm-hmm. So...
I think it would have been helped if Wesley was a guest star rather than a reoccurring presence.
Lindsay?
I mean, yeah, what did I say?
I think you said Wesley.
I said, whatever. They both Lindsay. If it was Lindsay, if Lindsay had a guest star rather than a reoccurring role, I think that would have worked better, because then they wouldn't have bounced him around all over the place.
Yeah.
I didn't watch Smallville because it was Smallville.
Oh, I get to comment on this as well.
So is Lex Luthor different in Smallville? Because Lex Luthor... comics Smallville animated universe is probably one of the best villains for me, period. But
in the Smallville TV show, they make him more complicated because the two of them are friends.
Hold on. I don't think Lex Luthor isn't complicated.
Okay,
this is not a conversation about the merits of Lex Luthor. I know that he's friends with Clark in high school. I've watched a few episodes of Smallville.
Right.
So, and then something happened. Is it like a Harry Osborn thing in Spider-Man, the first Sam Raimi trilogy?
No, it's a lot slower. Like they
but it's the same thing.
Yeah, because he has a father figure that...
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought it was.
Pushes him into becoming the man who he'll ultimately become.
I don't think Lindsay is driven, though. I don't know, maybe he is. I guess he does sort of... When he loses his hand, he kind of changes. But he loses his hand in season 1, and he's only in, 3 episodes. And one of those is in the pilot, when he doesn't really have a personality.
Right. And then in one of those... Is it one of the episodes of season 1 with the blind assassin?
Yes. I'm pretty sure that's the first episode. I could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure that's the first episode we really meet him, besides the pilot. Because in the pilot, he is not Lindsay as he will become in later seasons. He's a guy that they bring back as a nice way to tie in.
Right.
There's nothing about Lindsay in the pilot that connects to Lindsay in any other episode.
I mean, I don't want to feel like we need to talk about Lindsay.
I know. I don't think we need. I do think if you forget most of it and just cherry pick what you want,
you could piece together.
You can piece together a great character from that. The problem is that
you could either just
forget the things I don't like.
Right. I think, when you're comparing other villains, you even get to see more of where they went wrong. You know what I mean? They could have either gone, that Lex Luthor from Smallville, and, he's actually a very solid character in that show. Or you get to go scene-chewing scenery with Goldacott from Deep Space Nine. I don't know.
And the thing is that they kind of mix them both and don't have a clear definition of who he is.
Yeah,
in either one.
Definitely. All right. So next up we have Alicia, who says about Heartthrob, the good. I like James and Elizabeth in the flashbacks, and at first I thought it was romantic that James can't live without Elizabeth, but after he went to the doctor, I didn't like him anymore. Favorite scenes, I miss Pylea. I think you were there a week, they made you queen. He should have got hammered and went to Vegas, like I told him. He doesn't need a lap dance. We set up a lot of tacos, Angel and Fred's conversation, Dennis turning on the light, running a bath, picking up Cordelia's clothes and her loofah, and washing her back. Dennis, what would I do without you? Why are people always running off and leaving me? Am I a bad bloke? I don't think so once you get to know me. Oh, I'm going to need a doctor. Angel and Cordelia whisper conversation in the tunnels about the Ring of Amara. Other. Angel in normal people clothes is weird. Dennis is still around. In a twist, instead of Angel saving the pretty blonde woman, he kills the pretty blonde woman. Looks like Lauren got his red suit back from Pylea. So, thank you, Alicia.
On Angel's wardrobe, did you notice in this episode that he's wearing leather pants?
Yes, I did. I'm so glad you mentioned that.
I don't know why we didn't mention it before, but that was very just in the whole, yeah, maybe I killed Merle scene. He's wearing those leather pants, and I couldn't stop staring at them. It was so distracting.
Angel, yeah.
And the fact that no one commented on it.
Comments on it, yeah. That stands out even more.
Right for Cordelia mocking. And nothing.
Yeah, it was very distracting. I even wrote it down, but I completely forgot it to bring it up. Man, that's very strange.
Well, because when he was in normal people clothes at Heartthrob, that was meant to suggest something, that he was feeling okay, and that's weird.
Right.
Why he was wearing leather pants? I'm not sure what the story reason there is. Because there obviously wasn't, because I guess there were leather pants in the wardrobe room, and they thought, I guess Angel can wear these.
It's early 2000s. Has The Matrix come out yet?
Or maybe, as a stretch, he's wearing the leather pants so that it's supposed to call into question if he really went dark. Maybe. Or more likely, they just had leather pants around that fit David Boreanaz, so they put Angel in them. Because I don't think it's out of the question that Angel would have a pair of leather pants.
No. It just felt really... Well, does he change out of the leather pants later? Is it just only for that scene?
I think it's pretty much only for that scene, yeah. I don't think we see him from the torso down in the hostage situation, but I think, yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I did like them having the continuity of talking about the Ring of Amara.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a nice little touch.
All right. I think we could move on to favorite moment and scores.
Sure. Why don't you go first?
Okay, so my favorite moment is Gunn and Angel's conversation. After everything's happened, where Angel... Because we've gotten away from Gunn and Angel's relationship, but what I liked about them is that Angel... There's a respect between them, but there's not really any kind of camaraderie there, and there never really was. And the suggestion that maybe in the future there will be. And the other thing is, so whether it's Angel the show or Angel as a character, he seems to think he wants someone around who can kill him if he turns into Angelus.
Right.
And for a while that was Cordelia, but while I don't think Cordelia, if Angelus ever shows back up, I don't think Cordelia is going to become a whiny cry Buffy, but I don't think she's going to be able to kill him as much as she said she was going to be able to in season 1.
Yeah, I mean, that moment definitely stands out at them trying to wrap it up. The only... It's not an issue of the moment in this episode. It just does feel like a culmination of moments we've had before in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it definitely does harken back to the first time Angel and Gunn talk at the end of the first episode that Gunn's introduced.
Warzone.
Yeah, and then him being happy that, like, I'll trust you when you need to kill me. Like, he had that conversation with Wes before as well.
He had that conversation with Cordelia all the way back in, I don't know when that was. It was after Doyle had died. And Cordelia told him that if Angelus ever comes back for real, she'll kill him dead. But I don't think that's the situation. I think the closer that Angel gets to people, the harder it is for them to kill him if he turns into Angelus. And I don't know if... So the thing is that if they actually deliver on Gunn and Angel developing a friendship from this point forward, he's going to find somebody else who has to kill him when he turns into Angelus. And the more they talk about it, the more that they are eventually going to have to do an Angelus storyline for more than an episode.
Right. Okay, so for my favorite moment, I almost went with Lorne reading Geo, just because the sight of Lorne creepily smiling with blood in his mouth was actually genuinely terrifying.
Well, what I like about that, before you get to your actual review, is it's probably how they see Lorne. Because we know that Lorne is not aggressive. But and there's nothing, he just smiles and he comes off as incredibly creepy. And there's nothing, like, inherently evil about that, just besides the way that he looks.
Right. But I did end up going with the weird Geo talking about the incest thing.
That's surprising
just mainly,
to me.
It is surprising. It's not because of what Geo is saying, but because of how out of control... Yeah, how the confusion with Gunn, how out of control everything seems to go, and how that moment crescendos. It really does work pretty well into this nice moment. And, I think it is a really good acting moment for Gunn with the whole screaming shut up and killing the demon. So,
when they give Gunn stuff to do, he's good.
Like, he's a good actor.
He's a very good actor. I don't understand what the aversion is to his character.
Right.
Anyway. So scores, I ended up giving it a 59 because I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed it more because I remember of this episode is I remember the demon getting killed in the sewers, and I also remember hating this, but I also remember not liking Gunn at all. So it's probably the reason I hated it was probably because we were spending time with Gunn and I was bored with him already. Where on Rewatch, I don't think he's the best character in Angel Investigations, but I think he's one of the most likable people on the team. Yeah.
I ended up giving this a 60 out of 100, which is actually the best Gun-centric episode score.
I know. I knew this was about Gunn, and you have hated it.
I have a track record.
That he shows up and they talk about him.
I thought that moments of this episode were really complex and interesting and really made me think. And then other moments felt kind of forced and just not played off as well. And it's such a shame that they can't seem to find what works for this character, because they weren't able to go full on dark with Gunn.
No.
Like they definitely don't want to.
That would be a terrible mistake.
Right. They don't want to, or they didn't seem committed enough to tell that story. Mm-hmm. So they wanted to, but they cast enough doubt that it made for really interesting moments for me. So
no, I think Gunn's value is that he is one of the most inherently good people on the team. Like what Gunn, which everyone else has like things to atone for. Except maybe, I don't know, Fred. I guess Fred and Gunn seem to be the most inherently good. Like, while Gunn, we don't know what Gunn's past is.
We know enough about Gunn's past.
It's not like it was a dark, like he was a bad person before he got tied up in vampires. It was that he was fighting. I mean, Fred and Gunn are both in similar situations where their youth was spent fighting for their lives. And that's informed who they are. But it's not like Wesley getting fired or Cordelia being the resident bitch of her high school. Those are different. And Angel killing people. Like, those three definitely have something to atone for.
Right. I don't think they have something to atone for. Putting this kind of wrinkle on Gunn is interesting. Mm-hmm. Like, especially when you consider, like, well, obviously that conversation with him and Angel, but even considering someone like Lorne, we haven't seen them interact, mm-hmm. but Gunn having a natural disposition of just, like, hating all demons and never trusting them or having this kind of hatred towards them. Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Could be an interesting...
Well, we definitely know he hates vampires. And I don't think he's... How he feels about Angel, I don't think he's necessarily wrong in that, because he knows how quickly Angel can turn even with a soul.
Right, but even, I mean, the whole time during the episode, we get the, why are we even doing this, they're demons.
Yeah, that's true.
From him.
I think by the end of the episode, he understands maybe a little bit more. When it comes to demons, he just doesn't trust Angel.
Well, like, it's all fun and games until you try and kill the host.
Because who's going to rob the world of that singing voice?
All right. And if you'd like to leave us some feedback, you can do so by commenting on the post at theangelrewatch.wordpress.com.
Or you can send an email to angelrewatch@gmail.com.
Or you can call our voicemail number at 206-203-3276.
Or you can go to the Tumblr, which is angelrewatch.tumblr.com, to see all the reviews archived there and the guests of whatever episode we are watching that week.
We're available on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher. While you're there, leave us a review. It really helps promote the show. You can follow me on Twitter at NerdGuyWilliam.
And you can follow me on Twitter and Tumblr at TheConfortador.
And next time, we'll be reviewing Carpe Noctem, where an old man uses an ancient incantation to switch bodies with Angel.